it's Molly. I'm gonna go and tell you guys my inner thoughts. So I want to let you guys know that this may be emotional or something that is gonna cut you deep. So let's get into it. So I have some water right here, and I'm gonna drink some water. So guys, come along and let's hang out. So I have been contemplating about this video for a long time, guys, and I was encouraged to do this topic. So I have been thinking of this certain situation for a very long time. And this has been going on for years now about the situation that I am in. And this will explain a little bit more why I have been off camera and just more on why I've been debating on really saying what's been in the back of my mind, because it is so personal and something that I thought was a forbidden topic to discuss. But I am here to go and talk about this certain subject because I think that maybe someone will be able to relate. And it's about money. And it's something that I've dealt with a lot of my life is money. Just the whole thing about it. And I'm going to go and tell you guys on where this began. So there's someone that's close to me, relative. And they went and had 3 children. And there was a mom and dad. And at one point, at the age when I was 7, the dad died from cancer. It was lung cancer, specifically. And this relative couldn't seem to understand on how to move on. And so this person went through years of depression and anger towards on what happened. This person believed in God for a very long time in their life. And then all of a sudden, they had their loved one taken away from them. They prayed round the clock for this person to stay alive, to beat this cancer. But it didn't happen. They ended up dying from it. So I had to carry on and take care of 3 children. And they thought maybe they've moved on, but they didn't. Instead, every single day they would wake up in this angry, sad state of mind and would refuse to get help, even when offered. It would go, and this person would go and take their frustrations on their children. But they didn't know that they were doing it. So you ask yourself that, what is it their fault? And there's a lot of, in my mind, there's a lot of ideas and thoughts about this. Is it their fault for them not moving on, not seeking the help? So the turnout of this situation, we're talking about 21 years later now, still sadness and anger and refuse to move on and does not believe in anything, any sort of love or God. And they have reason to why they think this way. I get it. I understand. They done whatever they could. And I think that some people don't understand that things are out of our control. when we want to control everything around us, and usually things go that way, and then this awful thing happened, and you do everything possible to make sure that things happen in the way that you want them to stay alive. And in return of this experience, they ended up giving up on life that very moment. And they ended up racking debt like nobody's business. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. And every single day, they would wake up and watch the news, would figure out some way to distract themselves, and would go and blame others for things, or just stare into the abyss. And when there were children around, they obviously weren't knowing what was going on. They couldn't seem to comprehend what was going on. And so the kids lived in their own world. And I remember this specifically. This relative would ask me specific questions that normally you would ask an adult. And I would say my perspective from a child's point of view at the time. Like, they asked me specifically, do you get angry every single time there's an older couple and they're happy? And I was like, no, I mean, why would I? And it would anger them. And I have reflected back in my mind that when they would do this, and I thought to myself, I shouldn't have said that. But I couldn't seem to understand at the time. I didn't understand the weight of the question. Asked me about God. And obviously I would see in a different perspective. And they would tell me their opinion about it. And I wasn't comprehending it. So I would go and say something else. Probably I shouldn't have said. I would ask myself, like, did I say something wrong? Was I not there for them? That's why we're in the situation that we are in. I've been thinking about it all night long about this. And I decided to make this video before I back out of it because I'm too freaked out over it. This type of subject. So years pass by and they have this thought process that since their parents died at an early age, then they are going to die at an early age. And they were excited for that day. So they had this thought process of, well, I'm going to go and spend however much I want, millions of dollars. And I'm going to die early. So does it really matter what I do? So they thought they were going to die early. But they didn't. And now it catches up to them. And now they've pulled in people of this certain situation, this issue, of this huge debt. that they have. And they're refusing to do anything about it. And so this relative asks for, or has this expectation, didn't ask, has this expectation of others to go and carry them. And so that's what exactly happened for years. Some relatives went and funded their entire life, and this person has not learned their lesson. This relative is much older, and they are aware but not fully aware. And I don't think they understand the severity of the situation. I'm unsure if they understand the severity of the situation, or that they know and just don't care, and they are using this debt as a way to keep you in your place, to keep you in their life. So what happened was that they went in so much in debt that was either where they live, their house was going to be taken up. It was going to declare bankruptcy. And then the house was going to be taken up, and then whatever else they have of valuables. And the other relatives didn't want them to lose everything. So they went and stepped in to help out. And what happened was that this relative, it was a couple relative, and they stepped up. And it caused a lot of turmoil and anger and resentment from it, because they're funding this relative's life. And it's gotten so bad to the point that they have nothing for retirement when it is clearly time for retirement. And they went, and it was either the house was going to be taken up, and the debt had to be gone because the interest was so high. So when you have credit card debt, it is so high, and it feels almost impossible to pay off, especially when you're in retirement age. Like, you're way older. You're nearly 80 at this point. So it feels impossible to start over. And what happened was that when the relative died, their partner, they had this business together. It was a partnership business. And they worked together. And then when that person was gone, they felt that they couldn't carry on. And so in a way, they gave up on the business. And they weren't making the high income anymore. And so they kept on trying to, they ended up, this relative went and got a normal 9-to-5 job. And they were seeing that it was, that the amount of debt they accrued was not going to get paid off in the amount of a 9-to-5 job would pay. So they went, and automatically most people, like them, they think like this, they ended up picking up more shifts. In this relative's place, they picked up more classes to teach. And it still wasn't enough. And so they just gave up and just racked it up even more so. And the relatives that stepped up were doing everything possible to go and eradicate the debt. So they ended up getting refinancing the home. So refinancing meaning get all of the money that was put into it. Now it's being given back. And then, but now you a higher percentage of what you owe the house. So it's basically starting all over from scratch, but you are given back your money, basically. And they use that certain amount and paid off that debt. Now, the house needs to be paid off. And the interest rate is so high because it's different by when it was back then to what is now. And so it's so high that it feels almost impossible to pay for this. And this relative, the one that got others in this situation to having this expectation to help them out entirely, their health is declining. So they have all these other people to go and do everything for them. Not just financially, but just in general. And it's a really hard thing to go and want to help this person out because they have caused so much turmoil in the couple that's taking care of them, that's living with them, paying for the house, and then in return, this relative is being ungrateful. And you want to explain the situation to them, like, hey, like, you are being ungrateful and you are having all your relatives helping you out, doing whatever they can, and you're being rude. And it's very hurtful. And so I have wanted to go and explain what they have done was wrong. But I have no understanding if they really do comprehend what is going on, or they went and planned this out in their head on purpose to keep people in their place. So the amount that is being paid to this house is so high, and the relatives are taking care of these, are realizing this is too much stress. It's not worth it. And I specifically, and the other relative said, this is not a good idea. The house needed to be sold years ago. But the other relative, the couple, thought it was a good idea to keep it because it is a high value house. And so things continued going on for a while. And this relative that put people in this situation obviously didn't learn their lesson and accrued even more debt. So now we have brand new debt to deal with. And now it's at a point where the house needs to be sold, like definitely. And it's to a point where how much you would receive for the house, how much they would receive, because I went and specifically said, you can have all the funds, whatever that house is, to that couple. I'm okay with it. I don't care about any of the funds. I want that funds to go and help you start a new life, so you're not constantly having to take care of someone around the clock and dealing with someone that is not being appreciative of what you're doing, and just dealing with being in that house, even though sort of in a way they chose it, but they were really trying to help out the situation. And I appreciate this couple doing this and admire them for doing it. But I knew that this was only a temporary fix. I went and said that it was either we split the cost of how much this is and we all share the burden, or we just sell it. And I wanted to sell it years ago, but nobody would listen to me. And so now it's just too much of a burden because they took on everything. And I knew it was going to destroy themselves. I knew it. And there's a lot of unhappiness with this whole situation. And now they're trying to sell it. And it's coming up in 2 months. Wait, I think 2 or 3 months at this point. And it's to a point that the amount they would receive would go towards, obviously, the debt, and then like the house would have to be fixed up a tiny bit, but there would be nothing left over. There would be no retirement money for this relative. And so now we are at a consensus to figure out what to do. And certain relative wants this person that isn't all the way there to have their own home, when obviously they can't take care of themselves and can't seem to comprehend how money works. And personally, I think that if they have their own home, there would have to be a 24-hour caregiver. Well, within maybe a few years. Right now, maybe here and there. But a 24-hour caregiver to help out eventually. And so it would equal out to be the same as a retirement place. It would be the same amount. But when that time comes, you would either have the caregiver come in or put them in a retirement home so they can have 24-hour care, and they wouldn't even have to move anymore if they were just moved to the retirement home immediately. And so honestly, I've been thinking about this for a long time of when the house is sold. They have no retirement fund money. And how are they able to go and get the help that they need? And I have thought, well, maybe we need to go and split the amount. But it's such a high amount. And it feels so crippling, the amount that it would be. And I have thought a lot, the type of job I have, I would have to work around the clock to go and provide that certain amount of money. And I wouldn't see daylight. in return, I wouldn't even get to see the money whatsoever. It would just be out of my hands immediately. And same thing goes for everyone else. And I've been stressing over this all night, all day over this situation. And I mean, grand scheme wise, maybe it's not that much, but with currently the jobs that everyone has, it's asking a lot. And it's frustrating to be put in this bind. And I asked myself, well, what if I didn't help out whatsoever? And nobody did. Then this relative would be on the streets. And I don't know if you're allowed to leave an older person on the street, because obviously they're going to cause a ruckus and police will be involved, and wondering why you weren't responsible for this person. And so I think to myself, am I going to get a knock on my door from the police for not doing my part as a daughter or as a sister? But legit, at this moment, I don't have the funds to go and help this relative out. I've been stressing over it. And I've been trying for a very long time to accrue more. You know, I do investments, and you know, I'm looking into crypto, and if anyone knows about crypto, please help me out and say something in the comments. You know, doing entrepreneurship, but that takes years to build up. And so I feel this deep frustration over this. And I asked myself, well, if I didn't do anything, does that make me a bad daughter or a bad sister? It's part of the responsibility. And I have asked myself, have I done this to myself? Because we are just mirrors of images of each other. I was really upset over it. And just confused. Why that, you know, this all is happening. And I can't point fingers about whose fault is it. And I tell myself I have to figure out another way to make more income. I have to. Either I say, no, I can't help out whatsoever. And then everyone else says, no, they can't. And then they're on the streets and they're going to cause something. And then the police will be involved. At least I think. I don't think you're allowed to. I'm not really sure with the laws. Are you allowed to do that? I don't think so. And yeah, it's frustrating. It really is. So I feel there's a responsibility on my part that I'm supposed to provide the retirement funds, which currently I feel I mean right now I don't have that right this very instant. I know in the future I will. Just give me time. And I felt deep frustration about this and anger of this whole situation. And that, I mean, I don't know how much longer they're going to live. It could be 10, it could be 20 possibly. And of income that I'll never really see. I mean, in a way, I'm funding them, and yeah, and I can't be mad over, because they went and gave me my basic needs, and they tried their best. At least I think they tried their best. And they have, I don't know, it seems to me that they don't care about the situation because they keep on accruing more and more debt. And I told the relative that is helping them that they should not be having card, because they have proven to themselves, like proven to everyone, that they are not to be trusted with a card. But they want this person to have emergency card just in case something awful happens. But if someone is not fully there, then it's not really their fault. I mean, they don't really know what's going on, or they're pretending not to. I really don't know what it is. There seems to be some forgetfulness, but also they are aware. I can tell, and I don't know if they pre-planned to accrue so much debt to have people stay in their web so that way they're not lonely. I'm not really sure. And I don't know, it frustrates me, the situation. And I told myself that at the end of this, that I can say, no, I'm not going to do this. But I don't know, when I say no, am I going to be in trouble for not doing my responsibility? Am I going to get a knock from the police that I didn't take care of this person when I should have? So I feel this deep frustration of this, and other people around me have said that what happened is wrong, and the next generation should not be holding the burdens of the previous. And I agree on this, but with this situation, am I going to be in trouble for it? I don't know. And I want to say no, but I ask myself, does that make me a bad person? I mean, I don't really care what others think, but I know there is responsibility as a daughter and sister to do the right thing. And I have so many mixed feelings over this because, throughout when I was younger, I was not treated that well. I mean, I was given basic needs, but I was told I'm this and that, and it messed with my head. And I think to myself, does this relative deserve the help? And so that's kind of what I'm at ends with. Trying to figure out what is the right thing to do. I tell myself, I need to focus on myself. I need to focus on myself. You know, I work on this YouTube. And you will get in a better place in life. But I've felt so much at ends on, well, currently I'm not making any income from doing these videos just yet. It's going to happen though, because I'm going to keep on doing this. Or I right now work so much around the clock to the point I drop dead. Because the type of job I'm in is an hourly. There isn't any extra. It's an hourly situation. You can pick up shifts. But I did the math, and I would have to work around the clock. I would never sleep. And that is not sustainable. It just isn't. I've already tried working around the clock, and I was miserable. I was not sleeping. And I was always stressed out. And I told myself, I don't want that life. I don't. And it's so tempting to go back, because that is for sure that I would make. And currently these videos, I right now am not making income just yet. And that's what I'm at ends with myself. And I just wonder about what is the right thing to do. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to focus on myself. I need to get this to take off, this YouTube channel. And that way I don't have to work around the clock. Because I don't want that for myself. I don't want to go and wake up and wonder, what did I do with my life? All I did was work. I like to work, but I want it so that way it can become passive. I enjoy the job that I have currently, but it doesn't give me any passive income whatsoever. And there's certain conditions to it, like, you know, you have to drive to a certain place, and which is fine. While this, you can film anywhere, work anywhere. So it's not as many conditions. So honestly, that's what I've been thinking a lot, and wondering to myself about what I should do, and the frustrations of this whole situation, and feeling that I am responsible for someone's retirement fund. It's frustrating. And I just, you know, everyone is so stressed over this situation, because we're not supposed to go and let this person loose. I mean, I thought of, you know, just having them live with me or live with one of the other relatives, but the problem is they would need a 24-hour caregiver eventually, and that adds up. And it would just equal out to be the same as, you know, being in a retirement home. At least I'm pretty sure of it. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking a lot, and not getting any sleep over, because just I am at ends with myself and wondering on what to do. Currently, I seriously cannot help in a way of a financial stance, but can help in a way where it's physical, but I also need that time to make a living too. So there is a lot of frustration on what is best course of action when this relative literally will not help themselves and is unappreciative and is not really grasping the entire situation and not caring that everyone is sacrificing their time and efforts and energy into them. And if everyone abandons this person, are we responsible for them? I have no idea if you get in trouble for leaving an elderly person out. I think you do, but I'm not entirely sure. So guys, go let me know in the comments of, do you have any knowledge of cryptocurrency? And have you ever felt like you are in this type of situation? Just let me know, because I want you guys to know that you are not alone in this. And I have so many debates in my head about this topic of if this is an off limits topic, but this is the reality. And I just want to make sure that people know, like, you're not alone in this. There's others out there that have dealt with a relative that went and passed on their burdens.